The hell? There we go. Welcome to Look Around Florida. I'm your host, Sean McFall, aka the Florida Man. I'm glad y'all could be here tonight. I do appreciate it. When you join the chat, make sure to let me know who you are and if you represent an OCR, SCV, or UDC chapter. I love seeing all you. Charles LeRae, how you been, buddy? Roy Hudson, Beth Benfield. Woohoo! We got quite a bit of news. And planning for a lot of upcoming events in October, November, December, all the way to January with Lee Jackson dinners. Annette Lindsay, Linda Hudson, howdy. I hope y'all doing well tonight. So yeah, I got a little video I'm going to show you guys later. Last Thursday, I went to a lecture that the Fort Myers Historical Society put on about a Confederate veteran that settled in Sanibel, Florida. I really learned a lot of that Confederate veteran and his descendants. So I will be playing that video here in a little bit, kind of let you know about the first settlers on Sanibel Island down here in Lee County, Florida. So it's a very interesting. I learned a lot stuff that I heard about, didn't know about, but these are a video that the descendants did. So yeah, be interesting. I thought so. I hope you guys liked the video, but that will be aired later. We got Derek from the Tennessee division. We got Dylan and Leon from Arcadia. We got Kim Colors somewhere helping Jim Odell out over there at Fort Pierce. I had to pick on you, Kim. I haven't seen you for a while. Another member of the Tennessee division. Welcome, Al. Good to see you. So, yeah. Brigadier General Alfred A. Montz Camp, 788, from Cajun Country. Wow. Al Massey, Brigade Commander Al Massey's in the house. Sweet. So, start off in some of the news this Saturday. Roy or Linda, can you post the location and time in the chat? I forgot to write that down. This Saturday, Southeast Florida, Mootown. Mouton. Oh, okay, thanks. This Saturday for the Southeast Florida region, Lieutenant Commander Roy Hudson of the Florida Division is doing an officer's call. I had the email from Roy, date and time of location, and I don't know what I did with it. Shreveport, Louisiana. Alan's in the house. Welcome. Lieutenant Richard Taylor, Camp 1308. Welcome. Let me see if I can find that email. But I did want to bring up some stuff. The 8th Brigade. Okay. The 8th Brigade is setting up for their Lee Jackson celebration. Will be on Saturday, January 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the VFW Hall in Ocala, Florida. David Lee. Thanks, Roy. That is the date, location, and time for the fall officers meeting for Southeast Florida. I will be attending. Come and say hi to me. Sandy's in the house. David, congratulations to your brother for making it through boot camp. Thanks, Roy. I appreciate that, buddy. I need to write that down anyhow. Roy or Linda, when you guys get a chance, can you email me that? That way I can. I know I'm gonna be there. I just want to make sure I'm going to the right place. So get get back on track. I most of you know me. I'm like a the dogs from Up. As soon as you say squirrel, I'm looking in multiple different directions. So yeah. Randy Cook from Pensacola camp in the house. Hey, Randy, good to see you, buddy. Long time no see. Hope you and your camp is doing well. All right, get back to what I was talking about on the 8th Brigade, Florida Division 8th Brigade. They are planning their Lee Jackson dinner Saturday, January 24th at 6 p.m. at the VFW Hall. The guest will be speaking will be Michael Hardy. Sweet, good friend of mine. He's been a guest speaker on here multiple times. Website for registration will be online soon. Uh, Sandy, welcome. Mark Bess in the house. Alan Lawrence. So we got that coming up out of the 8th Brigade. Private William Riley Camp, 741 Lady Lake. They have a guest speaker coming to their October 14th meeting. None other than our historian in chief, Forrest Dawes, is going to be in the house. So it doesn't say time. Bob Harball or Victor, can you let me know a time on that camp meeting and location? Working on getting arrangements completed for the installing 2 new VA headstones in Lake Jim Cemetery in Lake County. Major General John C. Breckenridge Camp, 786 Oxford, assisted installing of John Shika headstone in Sumterville. Their Lee Jackson will be their Lee Jackson will be during the day, Saturday, January 21st, 2026. Guest speaker will be the SCV Commander in Chief, Donnie Kennedy, coming back to Florida. Woohoo! Uh, install it. Yeah. Okay, that's the news coming out of 8th Brigade. Most of the flyers that I do post it on our Facebook page. The 34th annual Lee Jackson Southern Heritage event hosted by the Finleys Brigade, Sons of Confederate Veterans in the Marion Heavy Black Chapter Number 5, Order of the Confederate Rose, will be January 24th, 2026, social hour at 5 p.m., dinner program at 6 p.m. Jackson Lodge Number 1, 2818 Appalachian Parkway, Tallahassee, Florida. Tickets in advance are $50. Door prizes and the silent auction catering. They are being catered by Texas Roadhouse. Guest speaker is Emily Lapperscheider. I butchered that name. I know it. Actress, musician, and first person impersonary. Appearing as Rose Arthur Greenhorn. Tickets are on sale. Get a hold of Adjutant Thomas Williams or Commander Mark Best that's in the chat right now if you want to go to their Lee Jackson dinner. And of course, you've seen Jeffro's post on the Confederate Memorial Park in Tampa has a new 30 by 48-foot Army of Tennessee flag at half staff in memory of uh, Charlie Kirk. May he rest in peace. I kind of liked his speeches, especially his views on religion. That most of us are different religious backgrounds, different parts of Christianity. So I really liked his views on that. That's just me personally. Let me get that disclaimer. Get that out of the way so I don't get a phone call later. Righty. Let me get that out of the way. So I hopefully you loved the past two episodes that we had. Last week we had the vice chairman of Oaklawn Cemetery in Virginia. He gave a lot of us info on what's going on in that cemetery and what would it take to get it the Confederates that are buried in there headstones. They got the square things with numbers on them, but according to the VA, that's all they need. Not to a descendant. To a descendant, which we are sons of Confederate veterans. We are descendants of a Confederate veteran. Uh, we like to have our ancestors marked with a proper headstone. That's just my opinion. Uh, yeah, that's why we got the charge. We do have some other news and that. Yes, news. All righty, this just came in this weekend. Please mark your calendars on Saturday, December the 6th, 2025. Donna and Mary McPherson are once again hosting a potluck lunch and cookout at our home here in Bartow. It is pretty much open to all Florida OCR, SCV, and mechanized cavalry members, including their families, kids, and grandkids. Please pass the word along to your members. Meats will be steaks, burgers, and hot dogs. Will be provided along with plates, cups, utensils, and condiments, ice, tea, and soft drinks. Just bring your favorite covered dish. We will have a large tent and table set up on the side yard. If you're planning to bring kids, let them know. So they will have they're planning on having a water slide for the kiddies. So if you're bringing your kids or grandkids, some will bring their bathing suits. We'll have a water slide if it's not too cold or other activities set up. There is a small pond here, and the kids can fish if if you want to bring a fishing rod, or if you can, please bring a chair or two. We have several, but we'll provide needed a few more. Please VSVP by November 15th, so we can get a head count and estimate for the order of meats. Just let us know. Just let know if you want steak, burgers, or hot dogs. Please contact Mary or Donna McPherson. You can private message them. They are both on Facebook. Uh, their address for the event is 2131 Village Road in Bartow, Florida. Pretty easy to find. Look forward to seeing all you on December 6th. Fresh off the plate for that one. Alrighty, here's another one. Captain J.J. Dickerson Camp, 1387, is proud to announce their 2026 Florida Premier Lee Jackson Dinner and celebration. Doors will open at 4:45 p.m. on Saturday, January 10th, 2025. The celebration will begin promptly at 5:15. Our guest this year will be the former Commander-in-Chief, Jason Boshiers. The celebration will once again be held at the Holiday Inn Expression Suites, Space Coast Convention Center, 301 Tuckers Lane, Cocoa, Florida. Located just west of I-95 and State Road 520 intersection in Cocoa. The celebration will include a buffet dinner, a presentation by our former Commander-in-Chief, Jason Boshiers, door prizes, silent auction, and a Southern Heritage celebration also. The traveling Florida Confederate Memorial Wall will be displayed for all to see. Seating will be limited to the first 50 guests that register. For easy registration this year, please go online and register at www.camp1387leejacksondinner.com. Fast and easy for your credit card or debit card. Dress code is semi-formal or period. Administration is $55 per person. Please register online at the hyperlink. If you would rather write a check for registration, please send your check to Camp 1387 SCV and mailed to Adjutant Steve Smith, 3303 Scotland Road, Cocoa, Florida. Alrighty, we have two events coming up on October the 11th. The St. Pete boys, I haven't seen Bobby Van Zandt or Rick Gray pop in yet, but they are going to be doing a cemetery cleanup there in St. Pete. Jeffro, I knew I should have written down the cemetery name. Do you remember the name, Jeffro? Okay, I haven't seen Bobby or Rick Gray pop in the chat yet. But as soon as they do, we'll get you further details on that cemetery cleanup. And I know Derek, that's in the chat, did make a donation to that camp to help them with their efforts on cleaning up that cemetery there in St. Pete. Greenwood Cemetery, that's it. I was thinking Green Lawn, but it's Greenwood. Thank you, Jeffro Cotton, for that one. That will be October the 11th. All right. That would be up in St. Pete area on October the 11th in Arcadia, Florida. At Joshua Creek Cemetery, I am holding a class on the CERT program, meaning Confederate Emergency Response Team to Headstones and Monuments, cleaning them and repairing them class. That will be with me, the Florida man, October 11th, Joshua Creek Cemetery, Arcadia, Florida. I was asked to teach the class by Emily Pickett, Chapter 24 of the Order of the Confederate Rose. That will be at 10 a.m. Ready, November 7th and the 9th. 3rd Battalion Company D, Florida Mechanized Cavalry State Meeting will be at man, I had a brain fart on that one. Yeah, I do apologize. I get brain farts from him every now and then. But the state meeting, it is an election year for the Mechanized Cavalry. So that will be 7th and the 9th. Jim Odell in the house. I was just picking on you, buddy. November the 15th at Jacksonville, Florida, they'll be doing the Florida Soldiers Monument dedication. November 15th at their park there in Jacksonville, Florida. November 29th at the American Legion from 10 to 3 in Arcadia, Florida. The Arcadia Camp, SCV, and OCR will be hosting their annual Christmas party. So we have quite a bit of stuff coming up. Grape Hammock Fish Camp, Lake Wales. I had I had that on the tip of my tongue, Roy, and like I said, I completely had a brain fart. Let me make a note here in my notebook on that one so I don't have any more brain farts down the road. Okay, it's in there. I know there's another event coming up. I am trying to access my emails, and yeah, it's not working right now. So let me see if I can get it up. I know the Third Battalion Company D is playing wide. Okay, there we go. I got it up. I got it up. The up, but I'm trying to get the details because I got StreamYard up, so that's taking majority of my bandwidth. Alrighty, the 15th annual Sydney Fairground Dice Run, September the 20th, 2025. Rolling for a cure, $20 per hand, including a meal. Meals only $10. All proceeds will be donated to Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to help the children with blood bone cures. Ride will begin and ends at Resco Bar. Ready. Schedule registration from 9 a.m. to 10:15. Kickstands up at 10:30. 5 p.m. last bike in. First dice roll at the vault. Yeah. Music karaoke provided by Tammy Ginger from 5 to 11. Let me make sure. Okay. I thought there was. Okay. I thought there was something else. If I did miss something about your event, please email me. That way I can print it out and I make sure I mention it because I do have brain farts. If you're thank you, Mark Bass. If you're a guardian, I send you an email. Please respond. I am trying to prepare a complete record of guardians in the Florida Division. Thanks to Becky Grimmer, Bobby Van Zandt, and Jeff O'Connor for responding. Mark, I thought I responded to that. I've talked to Kelly this week, so I've already talked to our Graves Committee chairman this week. So yeah. Mark, I will send you a spreadsheet here in a little bit on everything that me and my camp and the members down here in Southwest Florida are taking care of. So, guys, I love all you. I got a special presentation for you. This is based on a descendant of a Confederate veteran on how they ended up in Sanibel. I'm going to play the video. Let me know what you think.
House, Gray Gables. Today's your opportunity to meet the original residents and permanent.
All right, let me restart this.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sanibel Island's most historic house, Gray Gables. Today's your opportunity to meet the original residents and permanent residents of Gray Gables. I want to tell you a little bit about each one of them. There was a lovely lady named Letitia Ashmore Nutt, and I'll tell you more about her when we go upstairs. But she got the opportunity to homestead on Sanibel Island in 1889 when Grover Cleveland opened it up. And I have the original homestead deed, a copy hanging on the wall. She brought her 3 daughters who were in their early 30s or late 20s, classified as old maids. We have Letitia, the mother, Cordelia, the oldest daughter, Letitia, who was called Letty. This was Cordy, that was Letty. These girls never married. Over here, Nanny married late in life, and her husband's name was Nels Holt. He was a Swede, and I've got a picture of Nels upstairs. I think he was kind of a Florida cracker too, because he was very, very old Florida. They're buried over there. When Letitia came to Sanibel, she brought her mother-in-law, who died shortly after they got here, Anne Moncure Nutt. And Letitia's brother came from Kentucky and is buried there. Everybody homesteaded. The three daughters and the mother homesteaded. And each one got 160 acres. So the family owned a great deal of Sanibel Island at the time. James Keith Ashmore did not homestead because when Grover Cleveland opened up Florida, the rule was anybody who fought against the Union could not homestead. But a woman could, a wife could. Well, James Keith had fought in the Confederate Army, so he ended up being a permanent resident, but he did not homestead. There's a grave over here. We never knew who Clara May Patterson was, and I've researched it over the years, and I found a passage on Ancestry.com where a Clara May Patterson came in from Canada into the United States. She was a nurse. It has to be the same Clara May Patterson. Don't know how she got here, but she, if you read her tombstone, Ellen, go read what does the tombstone inscription say? She must have cared for the Nutts in their later life. I think it says,
she died in 1939, and greater love than this hath no man.
greater love than this has no man. So she probably was very close to the family. And now, if you wonder why people would bury their dead in their front yard, that is not what happened. This lot goes all the way to the beach, and the house, I've got a plat upstairs I'll show you, but the house was way down there facing the beach. When this house was built, there probably was not a West Gulf Drive. The beach was the road, and so their house was on the road. This was the back of their property, which went all the way over to Lake Murex. So, and Glenn can look at my map and figure out what exactly the homestead deed says. I have Letitia's homestead deed. I have one for Nanny, the originals, but I don't have Cordy and Letty's. But they lived on Sanibel all their lives, all their adult lives, and were very much a part of the community. They were school teachers. They were very loved. The Bailey family, you all know Bailey's store. The Baileys were the Mrs. Bailey was from Kentucky, and the word got out in Kentucky that Grover Cleveland was opening up land. At that time, Letitia was living in Shreveport, Louisiana, and her husband had died, and she and her girls had nothing to do, and they were adventurous, and other people from Kentucky were here, so they thought, well, we'll just come. I don't know how they got here. If it was on a barge or if it was in wagons, I don't know. Letitia was a diary keeper, and I have a diary that she kept during the Civil War, but I don't have any diary of her coming here, and I wish I did, because we've always wondered, I mean, how did they get here? And it had to be a hard trek. But anyway, they built this original house down on the beach, and I have pictures of it when it was built. And it was on Heart of Pine pilings, and my father said, you know, I think they built it out of cardboard and scraps. You'll see from the original picture of the house, it was redone over the years. At first it was board and batten, the boards, and then it was called V-gables. And in later years, the shingles were added and it was painted gray. This is long before it was moved, and I've got pictures of that too. And it became Gray Gables. And what a history we have here. And I can't wait to share it with you upstairs. Any questions while we're here? Oh, these are not my direct ancestors. Letitia's sister was our great-great-grandmother, and she never came here to my knowledge, but many of the family from Versailles, Kentucky did come and visit here, and I have pictures of them upstairs too. Thank goodness my grandmother saved, and the old Nutt ladies saved pictures, so we do have a lot of really good documentation for what life was like. Glenn? Letitia was the first postmistress when I was reading about the homesteading of Sanibel, and you're going to notice that I say Sanibel. I say Sanibel because my grandmama said Sanibel, and my grandmother had to have learned it from the Nuts because she visited here a lot, and Sam Bailey says Sanibel. And I have a picture up there from either Sam or Francis's book of Willard Scott doing the weather. I think it's Sam.
I paused it real quick. Guys, on all these headstones behind this lady, every one of them has a First National flag on them. I've been to this cemetery multiple times. As you can tell by looking at the screen, in the back right corner, there is an iron cross there. And that iron cross is actually part of the headstone. It's not like a traditional iron cross which was put at the foot, but it's actually part of the headstone. And like I said, every one of those headstones has a First National flag embedded on their headstones. I just want to give that information out.
Sam's book. And I turned on the Today Show one day, and Willard was doing the weather, and he said, "I'm here on Sanibel Island. If you don't like it, that's okay. If it's good enough for Sam Bailey, it's good enough for me." So Sanibel Island it is. And anyway, as I said, many of the family from Kentucky came down here to visit, and these ladies she was the first postmistress, they taught school.
Yes, Charles, the First National flags were engraved into their stone. Yeah, because these two ladies are sisters. That's Florence is the one that's speaking, and that's her sister that's in the background.
I have some journals. Cordy, I have a journal of hers from like 1928, and she said, "The Bailey boys were good in Sunday school today." So it's fun, lots of fun. Okay, everybody, welcome to the inside of Gray Gables. Now, this is not the inside as the Nuts knew it. This house was divided into many little rooms. And when actually Ellen's late husband was a contractor and he came up with the plan, the exterior had to stay the same. But he said, let's just open all this up. And believe me, if the walls could talk, this house has had lots of good times in it. And what I want to do is tell you what I have in the History Hall, and then when you go through and look at everything, you'll know what you're seeing. Of course, there's the map, and y'all are probably familiar with this map from Grandma Dot's. We're section 27, which is right there. And I want Glenn to look at the homestead deed and figure out exactly how much property is included in Letitia's. And of course, Nanny and Cordy and Letty all had 160 acres too. So they got here and they built this house. Now you're going to see the original house and the Nuts sitting on the front porch of the original house. And it really was somewhat of a shanty, but it was well built. It was on heart of pine pilings, and through the years it suffered. There were all those hurricanes in the turn of the century. I have a picture you'll see over here in 1921 or 2. You'll see what condition the house was in then. It's my grandmother with my father's baby sister and then her aunt, one of the cousins to the Nuts. We also have this was a boarding house. Letitia Nutt took in boarders, and you'll read I got this out of the newspaper, $12 a night or a week. I can't remember what it says now, but look at it, it's probably a week. And then my grandmother rented it, and she has her prices on there. Grandmama had an apartment on that side, and she had her prices on that. I think that's kind of fun. As you will see, the tax bill from 1890 or something, I'll have to look at the date, $4.76 for this. And that's changed, which is one of the reasons that we ended up moving the house. It was uninhabitable down there on the beach, and it had suffered. Ellen lived here for a few years,
Well, it had been empty for 10 years after my grandmother died, and it was, my husband and I needed a place to settle. We had made some financial mistakes in our life, and we were in our 30s, and my sweet father said, honey, the only thing I can offer you is the house on Sanibel to live in. And I thought, like Burr Rabbit, don't throw me in the briar patch. But when we came, we had to get literally a machete to cut our way in. It was so overgrown. So you can see how dilapidated it was in some of the photographs over there. But we made a happy home of it and licked our wounds and saved our money and moved on. So it was a great place for us.
In 1990, when the Historical Commission here on Sanibel declared this land historic, it was frozen, and we had the house down there. It was appraised for $17,000, and it was, you couldn't get insurance on it, and the property taxes at that time were $20,000 for here to there. And my husband and I thought, well, we're just going to have to sell it. And then nobody wanted it because it was historic with this thing down there. And then Ellen's late husband said, I got an idea. Let's present to the city that we move it next to the cemetery, and then you could sell that property, which we did. We were able to pay for this lovely restoration. So that's very fun. You're also going to see in here the house in Versailles, Kentucky, where the Ashmore Nut ladies, where Florence, my great-great-grandmother Florence and her sister Letitia were born. And there's a picture of Keith Ashmore sitting on the front porch. He's now in the graveyard. They were very genteel people, and this was a rustic life for them. And in reading some of the history of Sanibel, Eleanor Dormer, and then the Bailey boys too, their books, they say that Letitia brought culture to a backwoods town. And in 1889, I think there were 21 houses on Sanibel. That's when they built this one. To get the homestead deed, they had to agree to live here 5 years and build a house, which they did. And that's when this original house was constructed. You'll see pictures of us moving it. Unfortunately, we moved some termites along with it, so we've had a little bit of a problem there. But it has the original beams underneath the house. It's the original square, what do you call it, footprint of the house. In here also, I have pictures of the house over the years. You know, when it was board and batten, and then when it was the gray shingles. I have pictures of Letty and Cordy. I have the homestead deed and the tax bill and the picture of the ferry boat. Anybody ever ride the ferry boat over here? Did you?
I liked it, yeah.
Well, Ellen and I, as little girls, we lived outside of Selma, Alabama, and we were 6 children. And Mom and Papa would put all 6 children in the car to come down to see our grandmother who lived here. And we had to stop along the way because the ferry boat didn't run after 4 o'clock. So we remember riding that ferry boat, and that was exciting. When was the bridge built? 62 or? 63. And that really changed things for the better. Now, how we own the house, the Nutts were very close to an Episcopal convent in Glendale, Ohio. Don't know how that happened. Of course, they were from Kentucky, and Ohio's right next to Kentucky. But they had a friendship with the nuns, and the nuns would come down here and winter. And my father was 18 months old or so. The nuns baptized him down here on the beach. So the Nutts maid, getting elderly and being old maids, they made an agreement with the convent. You know, you see to us, you take care of us, and we'll give you the house. And so the house went out of the family in the 20s, and it stayed out of the family until 1960. And my grandmother had been coming down here as a girl to visit the Nutts, and also she rented places down here because she loved Sanibel. And so she had the opportunity to buy it back. And I have a picture of her, a newspaper article, and she said, "The happiest day of my life. I closed the deal on Gray Gables today." So that's how we got where we are here. Then time went on, and Grandmama decided, I'm going to do some real estate work. And she owned that land across the road, and it was probably, I'm sure it was wetlands. They didn't have restrictions back then on digging holes and filling in ground. So she and her husband decided to create Lake Murex. And I have a drawing here. Ellen, would you pass some of those around? I don't have enough for everybody, But in 1969, they designed what they wanted to see happen. And my step-grandfather had a bulldozer, and he was a manly man. And he went over there and started clearing. And I have some of my grandmother's journals, and she says, we're breaking ground. We've hired so-and-so to come and do the bulldozing. We're digging the lake. And it was just very exciting times. And everybody was saying, Florence Martin's lost her mind. She's borrowing money at 10%. And she did borrow money at 10%. And Ellen, where's Ellen? Ellen said, you know, I remember everybody saying, Grandmama sold that other property, that'd be Little Lake Murex, to have money to build Lake Murex.
Yeah, I heard that she sold it to the man who built the roads for Lake Murex, or she did a trade to build the road for Lake Murex, and then he developed Little Lake Murex.
Okay.
But she also got some of the fill, from that too.
As Ellen said one time, little pitchers have big ears. So a lot of the things that we know, we overheard, or we were young girls. So anyway, Grandmama, in building Lake Murex, she wanted to sell it quickly. And she had 6 grandchildren. She gave each of us 3 lots. Mine were, if you enter Lake Murex and go around the circle in that corner, I called it, where the road turns to go behind the lake. We sold it, Bob and I did, in 1972 to 3 families, the Erneckes, the Jacobys, and the Goldblatts. And the reason I remember this is we sold those lots for $7,000, $9,000, and $11,000. And so for 3 years, Bob and I didn't starve. We were young, we had babies. He had a job making very little money. I was making more money than he was with my land payments, which came out to about $7,000 a year. And we were very, very grateful. And Bob has often said, it could have been $700,000. It wouldn't have been as much as that $7,000 did. So each of my sisters and my brother, over time, sold their lots, as was Grandmama's plan. And you sold one for $30,000, didn't you?
Yeah, 40. I held on to mine, but she didn't tell me to sell it right off the bat, but that's really what she wanted, was to sell the lots so that people would build houses and more people would come and buy the houses.
And her standard at that time, I remember, was the Michigan home. And that's a lovely house. I drive through there now, and there are these huge, huge, beautiful homes, and I think, oh, sweet little Michigan homes. She had a friend named Joyce Irwin. My grandmother loved to play bridge, but bridge takes 4 people. And Joyce was a good bridge player. She said, Joyce, would you like a lot on Lake Murex? And I was there when this happened. Joyce said, oh, yes, Florence, I'd love one. She said, you be available anytime I call you, and we'll play bridge. So Joyce was indebted to my grandmother the rest of her life. Grandmama lived here until 1978, and as I said, the rooms were so chopped up. There were just like 4 bedrooms across this, it was kitchen. Bedrooms across here, there were little hallways, and she had gotten pretty disabled, and her husband said, we're gonna move to Fort Myers. I couldn't get you out of here on a stretcher. They couldn't have, the house was too chopped up. And she wouldn't go. And so she stayed here. And she found a friend who would come. She offered Ellen just got out of college. She said, I'll pay you $1,000 a month to come live with me.
It's more than I ever would have made at any other job.
But Ellen declined.
I was much too interested in a social life than living around.
But she lived here until, I think she died in 78. So Jerry must have built that house in McGregor Isles a few years before that. But he moved over there. My step-grandfather, he lived there. She lived here as long as she could find a friend to come and stay with her and take care of her, and she finally had to give up. But her heart is here. She kind of wanted to be buried in the cemetery, but that wasn't possible in 1978. But the heart is here. And take your time, and have you got any questions? What?
Florence, a question. Were the islands left there in any particular order or reason?
You mean the lots?
No, the islands in the lake.
In the lake.
Oh, no, I don't know. I don't know. And you know what? I did hear a story about it was an alligator. Something about somebody went out to clear one of the islands and they got stranded. I don't know. Did you tell me? Somebody told me a story about an alligator. Did y'all see alligators in the lake? Well, this is an alligator island. No, I don't know why the little islands were left there.
But it was good for the birds.
Yeah, a little resting spot for the birds.
So I have 3 or 4 questions. That was one of them. What year was the house moved back here?
1990.
90? Oh, okay. Then, one of the little quirks in our history here was, the original covenants expired in 20 years. It was done in 1970, expired in 1990. Of course, everybody was asked to sign back on, and most people did, but some never did. But I think you told me, because that was a condition of selling lots, people didn't like to be bound with covenants forever.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay, but, yeah, so they did.
Little pitchers didn't have big enough ears to hear that back then.
Then the islands you're talking about, so then Patsy is one of 2 original owners. Yeah, I don't know what went on. Was that through a realtor, Patsy, or how'd you buy it?
My dad bought the house on the corner and built the duplex there, and then he was so enthused about it, he said,
Ready. The video goes a little bit more on and on about questions, stuff like that. I hope you enjoyed that video. A little piece of history right here in Southwest Florida by the descendants. And Charles, I will post on Look Around Facebook page one of the headstones there. I took pictures and I did a little video months and months ago. Hey, Alan. Yeah, it is very interesting on Sanibel Island how a lot of people came there because of Grover. So yeah, like I said, I went last Thursday. I went to Fort Myers Historical Society. Was sponsoring a lecture. And the lady that was doing the lecture was Brianna Simpson. Well, we've chatted here and there, but we never physically met each other because we have the same interest on cleaning and maintaining headstones in cemeteries. Just like a lot of you have the same interest on preserving our Confederate soldiers' good name and their headstone. So, yeah. I did want to give, I forgot to mention this earlier, it just dawned on me. Guys, just a reminder, if you're filing for the grant program, it is due this Sunday. It needs to be in by this Sunday. I'm working on mine for the... No, I don't, Lynn. Because the houses were destroyed. I can search online to see if there's any pictures of the house there. Because Hurricane Ian wiped it out. So there is a new house being built there right behind the cemetery. So, yeah. Let me take a look. It might be a little while. I know I've taken pictures of the headstones. So bear with me. Everybody having fun and interesting things going on? Okay, there we go. There we go. Found it. All righty, stand by for pictures from that cemetery. I should have uploaded these earlier. All righty. Now, the cemetery that we're talking about is on Sanibel. These are pictures of the graves. Now, each grave at this cemetery, as you look above Nanny Nut, they all have the First National flag. Yes, Dylan, that is correct. That's an old video that I got from Bree Simpson that was doing the lecture, and I asked her if she had any concerns of me showing it on here. I'll look around Florida. She told me no, go for it. Here's James Keith Ashmore that she was talking in the video. Yeah, as you can tell, the Iron Cross is embedded into the stone. So, yeah. Because when I was there, I did a little. Yes, it does, Charles. It does look like an old UDC logo. Now, during the class, they did talk. Florence's sister was at the class. I mean, the lecture. Sorry, I keep saying class. That's on my head. Was at the lecture. The younger lady that was walking around the cemetery and all that behind Florence. That's her sister. She was there. She did talk about the old UDC chapter that was in Fort Myers. When they let her talk a little bit. So that I think they were involved with the original UDC chapter that was in Fort Myers. So yeah. Do you guys have any questions for me? Comments, complaints, gripes? I'm getting ready to wrap everything up. We have a 5-minute warning. Alrighty. Hope y'all are doing good. May God bless you in your adventures this week. Till next Wednesday, stay Southern. And if you're feeling down and out, please check out Psalms 23. That's my opinion. That's my favorite verse. So until next Wednesday, stay Southern, stay out of trouble, and may God bless you.